everybody, this is Gavin Townsend with Keeping It Real Estate with Nici Johnson.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about mortgages, okay? Just a little bit. We're going to scratch the surface. We're going to bring some experts in later, but I'm going to call this one What You Should Know About Getting a Mortgage Today, because it changes all the time.
Now, when you say changes all the time, are you talking about like procedures and steps, or are you talking like percentages? And
interest rate's going to always fluctuate no matter what's going on. So that's certainly one thing I'm talking about. But eligibility criteria is kind of what I'm getting at today.
Okay.
So if you're following headlines and you're looking at stuff like that, there's always things going on in the stratosphere, shall we say, that are impacting banking regulations and mortgages and all those things. So if you're somebody that, let's say, for example, tried to pursue a mortgage maybe a year ago or even 6 months ago or maybe even 3 months ago, things have probably changed. So I'm here to give a hopeful message that don't give up, and maybe it's your time to revisit this. So this is a great chat for first-time home buyers, renters that are thinking about purchasing, or buyers that you're in your current home and you're ready for your upgrade.
Okay.
That you might feel intimidated or unsure about what the mortgage approval process is right now, today. Maybe it's time to take a revisit.
No, I like this, especially for somebody like myself, and I know I'm not alone in saying this out loud. I have never on my own been through the process of buying a home. I would have not even the slightest clue of what, where, when, why, how. And also, I know that there are certain, programs set aside for somebody like me, certain criteria of financial and where I make it. So I'm very interested in this topic all around, and I think a lot of people are as well.
Good.
So I'm excited for this. And then, of course, when we are able to get those mortgage
loan originators.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, I am not a mortgage loan originator.
Okay.
That's not my profession by trade. We know I'm a licensed real estate professional, but I'm just going to kind of introduce this topic to everybody to get you off the sideline if you've been thinking about it or you haven't done it in a while. Even if you had a pre-approval maybe from a year or two ago, it's time to revisit it. And then I hope that when we do have my colleagues in from the lender world, that this will kind of tie back to this conversation. So
real quick, and I don't mean to stop you, but you said pre-approval. Does that last for only a certain amount of time?
Correct. Great question, Nici. So if you did connect, if you're a buyer and you're thinking about purchasing some real estate and you needed to borrow that money to purchase real estate, you likely spoke to a lender, and it could have been your own bank or a mortgage broker. Okay. And you went through what's called the pre-approval process. And so they asked you questions and you completed an application if you went to under contract. But if you didn't get that far and you just have a pre-approval letter from a lender saying, hey, so-and-so gave me their credit score, I know what their wages are, I know what they have in the bank. And so based on the information I've collected from Susie Q, this particular broker is going to issue a pre-approval saying, we believe that they will qualify to be able to purchase a home at X amount of level, maybe $100,000 or $500,000.
Okay.
What's your eligibility?
Okay, so that's where you have to start, period, but you want to start there too.
Yes, I would say that's before you even contact, or at the same time you're contacting your real estate agent and interviewing real estate agents. Remember, I always tell people you should be interviewing real estate agents. You should also be getting the pre-approval.
And you want to do this before you even start looking for a home.
You shouldn't step foot on a house, on a property until you understand your budget.
Perfect.
And so that's the pre-approval process. So back to your question, Nici, you may have gone through that pre-approval process previously, maybe a year ago, maybe 10 years ago. Pre-approval letters typically they expire in probably 3 to 4 months.
Oh, okay.
Because the interest rate's going to fluctuate too.
Oh, that's
and maybe
right.
your situation has changed. Did you change jobs?
Yep.
Did you get married? There's so many nuances to the individual. Again, a very individualized process that if you had a pre-approval previously, great. You can go back to that lender and renew that.
Okay.
Or maybe you're going to get a second opinion and go to a different lender. Or maybe you've moved and now you're connected with a different loan originator. So pre-approval is number one in the real estate process. And so even if you've got an existing one on file, guys, if it's dated, then it's time to get that re-upped and renewed and refreshed.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So that's something that's really important. Don't be putting it off. There might be things in the market right now that are actually shifting in your favor.
Oh, do
So
tell.
interest rates, we know everybody wants that interest rate to go down. We understand that, but we've kind of normalized the new interest rates between 6 and 7%.
Okay.
I don't see any big changes happening there, but certainly we always talk about dating the rate and buying the house, marrying the house.
Yes.
So if the perfect house comes up for you and you have the financial ability and you're pre-approved and you get under contract, get that house. Don't wait for the interest rate to go down, because if you don't buy it, somebody else will.
That's true.
Right? So get on it, and you can always refinance later.
That I was just going to say that you could do that to
That's
get your
right.
interest rate down. Perfect.
And that's
Okay.
what I mean by date the rate.
Yep.
Marry the house, date the rate. So, we're going to talk about what's changing, why it matters, and what you can do to be ready. So, number one, couple talking points I have here. The Mortgage Bankers Association's Credit Availability Index, the MBACAI, let me say that again, Mortgage Bankers Association's Credit Availability Index has been ticking up, okay? And it just hit its highest level in nearly 3 years. And you're saying, well, what does that mean?
I was going to say that out loud
And
before
again,
you did.
not a loan originator, but you guys are out there. You know what I'm talking about. But what's it mean to you? That means that lenders are slightly loosening their standards for credit scores, down payments, and debt-to-income ratios.
Okay.
See why this is good news for some people that maybe did not previously qualify. That index has gone up, so it's maybe loosening some standards for pre-qualification.
Perfect. Yes.
Yep. So this is why I say, if you got your pre-qual a couple months back or a year or more, now maybe it's time to revisit it.
Okay.
Okay, so you might now qualify for a mortgage that would have been out of reach maybe even just a few months or weeks ago.
Wild. That's
Right?
crazy. Yeah.
So this is good news. This is why it's really important. I want to talk about this today. It's great news for buyers who felt that they were shut out of the market. And again, guys, we still have low inventory right now, but if you felt financially you didn't qualify maybe at the level that you needed for a particular house, a lot of people will qualify for a certain level or budget of home, but then they look in the market and there's nothing available at that level.
Yep.
So maybe this increases your eligibility a bit, and it makes what's currently available on the market more obtainable to you.
Okay.
So make no mistake, though, banks are still playing it really smart. There's banking regulations, and that's just things we're not going to get around, but you've got to connect with a loan originator that's going to really step you through that process of what's possible for you. But I think there's hope here.
Okay.
Is what
I
I'm
like that.
saying. Okay. So I want to reassure everybody at the same time that this is not a repeat of past lending mistakes that we experienced, maybe in the crash in, between 2005 and 2007, leading to 2008. That's not what this is. This is not like 2008. Here's the big question I hear all the time. Didn't loose lending cause the housing crash in 2008?
Okay.
Yes. And that's why banks are being really cautious. So there may be, giving a little bit more flexibility, but we're not in the danger zone of that frenzy that happened years ago. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm just saying that if you got a pre-qual a year ago, things might be looking on the up and up for you now.
Nope. Good. Okay. I like
Okay?
it.
So while standards are easing slightly, there's nothing like the Wild West days of 2005 and 2007. So don't worry about that. We're seeing smart adjustments, not reckless risk. Big difference there, okay? So this is about helping qualified borrowers, not giving away mortgages with no income and no credit checks,
Yes.
right? You still have to do all the things, but we're just going about it. Maybe there's a little leniency. But
Okay.
again, you have to prove yourself to be qualified, that's for sure.
Nope. That's
okay?
comforting.
Okay. So what does this mean to you guys in our area in the Glow region? Let's say, for example, you've been renting or you've been saving up for that down payment because maybe when you spoke to a loan originator last time, you weren't in the best financial health position. And probably that loan originator told you, you know what, you could make this happen, but it might be a bit uncomfortable for you. You might be really stretching. Maybe your best bet is to continue renting for now and still keep working on that nest egg. And then let's revisit this 6 months to a year from now
Right.
and talk about where you are. This is that checkpoint that I'm talking about. This could be the window that you've been waiting for.
Okay.
And I think even if you connect with a loan originator now, maybe you never have, that is always such a great litmus test of your financial health and ability.
Oh.
I often tell people, even if I have a conversation with a buyer, again, I'm not a loan originator. I'm a real estate sales professional. But I'm talking with a buyer who, I said, well, tell me a little about your work history and your income earnings and all that. And even if I think that maybe they're not quite ready financially, I will still send them to a preferred lender to have the conversation so that they understand what their steps are to become qualified.
Yes.
Because let's not just say, oh, it's not going to work out. Let's not do anything for the next year to get there.
No, I love the idea of even just to have the knowledge of where I stand in the process or in the idea.
Exactly.
Of even if I don't want to buy a house right at the moment, just to kind of know where am I
Yes.
securely in that financial standing of.
That's right.
Am I good?
Because it's life and things happen.
Yeah.
And you didn't even predict that was going to happen. But now you're like, oh, now I have an oh, you know what moment. Instead of that, let's know where we are. So, if you've been renting, saving up, sitting on the fence, here's your window. And I think the other thing that's a major takeaway is that down payments are a lot more flexible than they used to be. I think everybody assumes that if you are financed conventional for a conventional mortgage, that you have to have 20% down.
Yes.
And that's really not the case. There are conventional mortgages that are as low as 3% down if you qualify.
Okay.
But remember, it's a pendulum swing. If you're not putting down a lot on your down payment, where are you making up the difference? Probably a higher interest rate. So those are the things you really need to walk through with a loan originator. But I think that, that myth that you must put 20% down is not the case. I'm not seeing that a lot.
Good.
I do see it, and sometimes I see more than that, but not the case for all buyers.
Okay, good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah, so that's really something, it's lenders are starting to say yes to buyers with good, not just perfect credit.
Ooh, okay. I like that, yeah.
And there's a lot of different type of loan products out there that are probably a good match for you and your circumstances as a buyer. And that's why a loan originator is going to talk to you about that.
Perfect.
Okay. And with the equity some folks have from selling, this might be the time to strike too. So let's say you're sitting on a house and you weren't going to sell, like you were just saying, Nici, wasn't planning on it, but where do I stand? If you're somebody that was thinking about right sizing, downsizing, upgrading, you might want to have this conversation with a loan originator as well to see how your equity plays into your qualification.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't think about that, but that's a good idea too.
Yep. So that's really important. So your best next step is to talk to a lender. I've said it ad nauseum already, but you want to know what you qualify for because you might be closer to getting ready to purchase than you think.
No, that's actually something that I think a lot of people, they hold themselves back because they definitely live in the moment of, I don't think I would qualify. I don't even want to see. I don't even want to know. But then I feel as though a lot of people will go through that step and they find that either, A, yes, you do qualify for something, or you're just a step away from qualifying.
Right.
For something.
You mean if I pay off that credit card debt, then I'm that much better and that much more competitive as a buyer? Yes.
Exactly.
Isn't that the stuff you want to know? And I think you should. No matter if you're a first-time buyer or somebody that's just thinking about it or somebody that's sitting on an existing home, these are the questions to ask now.
Yeah.
And I've worked with all sorts of financial situations and institutions and lenders. And certainly I've worked with all sorts of buyers, from first-time home buyers with low down payments to, retirees paying with cash. In all those cases, I think it's still important to know where you stand. Even when I have folks come to me saying, I have cash to buy, and this is what I'm going to do, I always recommend that they speak with a lender.
Oh.
What if you don't want to use all that cash on the purchase? Maybe you're going to finance the purchase and use your cash to renovate the home.
Okay.
Right? So I think this is not just about never have purchased, first-time home buyers, or I'm purchasing the second home. There's a lot of different scenarios, and I think having that conversation with a lender is always important.
So, and I don't mean to break this up, but I understand that there are some programs that are out there in the world, and I understand, whether you are a vet or, I'm a first-time, like I mentioned, home buyer, and potentially something that I might get, I don't want to say a grant, but there might be programs where I could qualify to get some of that.
Exactly.
Now, how does that work into, and is that something I would have to go, I guess, and look at separate on my own? Is that something you would help direct? Is that something a mortgage company would help me? Or
Sure. So your real estate agent may have information that's local, and that's usually a localized opportunity.
Okay.
You often hear about people talking about first-time homebuyer programs and things like that. Your lender will know things about that too. And usually it requires coursework and their first come, first serve basis programs that when that money is gone, it's earmarked for that particular, maybe a first-time home buyer loan program or a grant program per se.
Okay.
You might qualify for a grant, which is a gift, not have to pay it back, but you have things you have to do So that becomes almost like another full-time job. You might have to complete a year-long course, or maybe it's an online course, and you have to provide all of that, and you have to have eligibility required for that too. Maybe a particular credit score to qualify and things like that. So your lender can talk you through that.
And again, like you mentioned, that you would recommend everybody going through the process of getting pre-qualified before even looking into buying a house. Would you recommend looking into these programs before the pre-qualification, before or with the pre-qualification before you
alongside
jump into?
it, for sure? Yes, because at the end of the day, home ownership shouldn't feel like a mystery. It should be a plan. And your very first step is understanding your finances as they stand right now and working with a loan originator, a lender to talk about what's possible with your current credit score, your debt to income ratio, all those things, and then also start thinking about other opportunities like grants at the same time.
Perfect.
Okay?
Nope, good to know.
Yeah, so I just want everybody to understand that maybe you've gone through this process previously, last week, 3 months ago, a year ago. Maybe it's time to revisit again. Maybe it's time to get a second opinion from a lender. A lot of loan originators will do that, and then you're going to come up with the plan that's best for you. When we ultimately get my colleagues on here to talk about more detailed processes with mortgages and loan products and stuff, I think what's most important is to understand that it's not just about the interest rate. We talk about that a lot. It's about service. And so when you've got someone in your corner, the common denominator with all these different types of buyers is not only is your real estate agent in your corner and working alongside and collaborating with you to realize your real estate goals, your lender should be too.
You're building a whole community just to live.
It's a team. It's a team. So
crazy.
You know us. We're always keeping it real estate here on WBTA. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call us 585-344-1321 or schedule your complimentary buyer seller consultation. You can call me at 585-344-1321 or email me at gavin.townsend@huntrealestate.com.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for coming in today and just blowing our mind and all this information. And I'm so excited for your guests to be coming in and, of course, breaking things down a little more in detail, because I feel as though there is quite a lot that people would really like to know, understand, and hear the nitty-gritty insider details.
Absolutely. And it's always changing. So you know what? Don't hesitate to reach out and keep those good questions coming.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Miss Gavin. And of course,
thanks, Nici.
We'll be back next week right here on WBTA. And keeping it real estate.